Hey everyone. Cool. So as you mentioned, I will be talking about the Simple DVT module. Status for this update in the node operator community call is that validators are in the process of activating. So we are all extremely excited about this. The first OBOL clusters that are deployed on mainnet via the Lido Simple DVT module have all received deposits. So as a reminder, this is 60 validators in total. This is 5 validators across each of the 12 cohort 1 clusters. And on Saturday, they were deposited too. So there is a bit of an entry queue on mainnet currently. In a little over 8 days, they will be activated. And so once this activation actually officially takes place, it'll basically kick off a 30-day timer. That timer will include a performance monitoring period where the metrics that we looked at on testnet, so uptime, block proposal success rate, and attestation effectiveness versus the network are all considered. And if those metrics look in line with the network and comparable, then a proposal to the DAO will be made to raise the key limits for these cohort 1 clusters, and then also start activating the cohort 2 clusters. As a reminder, there's 14 clusters that were approved by the DAO for cohort 2. So if after 2 weeks the performance looks good, like as a preliminary view, we'll likely start onboarding the cohort 2 clusters. They've already been added to the Discord after being accepted. But they'll get the process rolling of confirming their addresses, making sure that the infrastructure is setting up fine, troubleshooting any issues. And basically, after the proposal is made to the DAO, there will be a week discussion period for the DAO to have raise any concerns regarding either the performance from cohort 1 or like any concerns regarding raising key limits for cohort 1, or also just in terms of moving forward with cohort 2. But it is looking like we're on track to have 26 OBOL clusters running on mainnet in the next 2 months. So if things continue as they're looking, it's really, really exciting. And it's a ton of new solo community stakers in addition to professional node operators running on mainnet. Just this first batch of 72 node operators within cohort 1 is a 200 plus increase in terms of the total number of node operators that'll be using the protocol to run validators in just 8 days. In terms of testnet number 4, so the fourth OBOL testnet started last week. There's a total of 25 clusters involved, and out of those 25 clusters, there's over 150 net new participants to a Lido DVT testnet in general. Their participants are making really good progress so far. The address verification stage is just wrapping up and will be complete tomorrow. And then this will be moving forward to the node setup stage. That will go on for about 10 days, and then DKG ceremonies will take place pretty early into May. And so this testnet will be the first time that the integrations that were approved via a Lego grant are being tested. So this includes DAppNode and Stereo, as well as a implementation of ETH Docker for OBOL that Lido contributors put together. So hopefully some really good news to share there on the next update in terms of status and updates related to testnet number 4. But things are moving along really, really well with OBOL, and it's extremely encouraging to see all these validators now deposited too. On the SSV side of things, so also a continuation of really great news, the SSV testnet is officially complete. All of the performance metrics were really well above the required metrics that they needed to hit. All the validators for the 32 clusters were exited, and each cluster tested the reward flow process. So we can look at the little chart in the bottom right there, but you can see that the minimum testnet success characteristics were an uptime of 95%, a 70% block proposal success rate, and the Haleski 30-day attestation effectiveness rating of 72.44%. SSV basically blew all these numbers out of the water. Uptime almost 99%, block proposal success rate of 94%, and an attestation effectiveness rating of a little less than 81%. So looking really, really good here. And we'll be looking forward to the next steps in terms of hopefully moving forward the participants from this testnet onto mainnet as well. So by the end of this week, there should be a blog post published that will provide a really detailed overview of the testnet, covering things along the lines of the processes that the participants went through. It'll cover cluster by cluster performance. It'll talk about some of the challenges faced during this round of testing, how those challenges were overcome, and then, like end up really highlighting this pretty amazing performance that SSV participants experienced. So following the blog post publication, there will be a assessment and evaluation by the Lido node operator subgovernance group. This is the subcommittee of the DAO made up of generally Lido on Ethereum, Lido on Polygon, and third-party staking contributors in the ecosystem more broadly. And they will review the performance of all the clusters. They'll review the aggregate performance, and they will also be able to have a pretty in-depth view into participant performance by the metrics surfaced via SSV's operator IDs. And these are basically the nodes that each operator is running. They'll also compare and be able to look at qualitative factors. So these are things such as like response time and ability to troubleshoot issues like fairly self-sufficiently. And from that list, there would then be an expected shortlist of candidates for mainnet proposed to the DAO. There will then be another week waiting discussion period for the DAO to weigh in on the candidate lists. But we would expect that if the NOCC does go ahead and make this proposal, that there would be at least 12 clusters for cohort 1 and likely clusters for cohort 2. This will be followed by testnet number 4. That'll start towards the end of May, potentially into early June, depending. And there are still some spots available, which I'll talk about in a second. I guess the other factor to mention is that and as a reminder, the SSV testnet was extended by a few weeks so that the new version of their DKG tooling could be tested. That went through really, really smoothly, and an audit was just received, and so far looks good. So things on the SSV side are looking great. And my favorite slide of all of them, there are still spots available for the 4th SSV testnet that'll be starting, as I mentioned, probably late May. So if you're interested whatsoever, solo staker, community staker, professional node operator, if you haven't run a DVT-based validator before, SSV makes it really, really easy to get started. So happy to connect if you have any questions, but the information should be available by scanning this QR code on the screen, and hope to see many of you in the next testnet. Thanks.